some Commanders because we got some news today. Jayden Daniels named QB1. No surprise there. How you feeling, brother? Number 2 overall pick, but number 1 on the depth chart for the Commanders.
Um, this could have happened weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate, Dan Quinn staying strong and not saying anything until he absolutely has to. That's the only right way to do it. But he's been the guy for a while now. Like, they've been raving about him in training camp. The joint practices with the Jets. Sauce Gardner, saucy. Arguably the top corner in the NFL right now, was like, that's the guy. He's coming. The Dolphins, nothing but great things to say from their insiders and from their articles and publications and all that. Nothing but good things to say. And he looks as advertised. He has a couple passes that's like, yeah, we got a guy that can throw the ball. This is cool. So I'm absolutely happy and ecstatic. But just like Nitro has been saying, and just like I've been saying for at least the past 3-4 years, I'm very concerned for the offensive line. Very concerned of the offensive line. And Jayden Daniels has some traits that is similar to Lamar Jackson. But if that offensive line ain't hitting and doing what it's supposed to, the brother's gonna have a long year. But if it can be serviceable, he can have a rookie of the year type of year. And yes, Caleb Williams is still out there.
We will keep an eye out for that. Also, looks like the Raiders announced that Gardner Minshew will start over Aiden O'Connell, I'm sure.
Who cares?
Mr. Antonio Pierce will have a long season. Dre, we got some sad news. Speaking of the rookie quarterbacks, J.J. McCarthy. Somebody check on Jesse, by the way, the Chi-Town Smart, and check on C.J. and A.J. as their rookie quarterback. Their savior that they coined him is out for the season with a knee injury. Sam Darnold will be QB1 for the Vikings.
There it is.
This makes and this is the reason you need 2 quarterbacks. I had said this earlier at the station. I was saying you need 2. It's so prevalent right now that you have a backup quarterback, because the quarterback position is one thing to get that right, but then when you have a good backup, because now, as we saw last season with the Browns, for example, you need a guy who can back up just in case your quarterback gets hurt. Well, it was a high number last year, like a egregious number, that the number of backup quarterbacks, but you need a decent backup. I just don't see Sam Darnold doing it, even though this was a bridge year for the Vikings, being that they were going to have a rookie quarterback. This may be one of the greatest rookie classes of all time that we've seen. This class right here, I believe in these quarterbacks that much.
You've been saying that, Drake, for the past couple of weeks. I give you that. You have been saying that.
And they all look good when you look at, I know it's preseason, but they all look good, all of them. So, and I just feel bad for JJ, because then that sets the Vikings back even further. And the fact that all the quarterbacks look good. I mean, it's not regular season yet, but you at least saw a spark with each one of these quarterbacks. So it's unfortunate for the Vikings right now.
Rogers, your boy Biden is. I don't know why he's up this late. I thought it was past his bedtime, but
Wow.
Yes, they bought him out of cryostasis. JJ McCarthy out for the season, though. Your boy Justin Jefferson, I'm sure he'll still eat, though.
Yeah, he'll still eat. I know he's very disappointed because he saw JJ McCarthy week 1 and he was like,
he was smiling, man.
He was smiling. He was clapping on the sidelines. He was praising him when he, got a touchdown. I mean, and just for that, for him to be out for the entire season, there you go. And just for that, for him to be out for the entire season is very disheartening, for that Minnesota fan base. But like Dre said, man, every quarterback that was in a rookie draft has been playing well. and he was one of them. JJ McCarthy was one of them. It is going to set them back another year. Hopefully, Sam Darnold has some type of a turnaround. We've seen him, of course, with the Jets, and he was god awful with them. Yes, but I mean, he had his time with the San Francisco 49ers as well as a backup. So maybe he's learned something. We shall see going into week 1. But yeah, man, it sucks that JJ McCarthy is gone.
Cavante, last but not least, the NFC North. We haven't talked about it yet. We'll get to it probably next week, but that division becomes a little more, I guess, clearer now. Becomes a 3-team race, I guess, now.
I really thought it was because the Vikings had a rookie quarterback. I didn't expect too much from them. I kind of thought it was going to be the Lions and the Packers type of race anyway. The Bears have a lot of potential, but rookie quarterback, there's going to be some bumps and bruises. And I do think the Lions are still the best team slightly in the division, but the Packers are formidable at this time. So I think it's a 2-man race.
Bro, you don't have the Bears?
Nah, they're not just going to pop up out of nowhere and be contenders in the division. As long as they look competitive, that'll be good. I don't think they're going to jump from down in the dumps to all of a sudden they'll be contenders. And I'm talking about contenders in the division. It takes some time to get there, and they have potential. But I don't think it happens like that.
They have a lot of talent, though, so it wouldn't surprise me if it did.
I think they'll make a push, but I think you're right. They may not make the playoffs, or either one or two things. Either they'll make a real strong push to get in, or they'll get in and probably be bounced out right away. But like you said, Rod, just so much talent there that's why I'm on the fence about where they'll be exactly. And I'm not sold as much on other teams in the NFC. I think it's really still seems like it's Philadelphia, San Francisco, and I know people want to throw the Cowboys in there, but I'm so skeptical about the Cowboys right now. That I mean, it's just honestly speaking,
they're a great regular season team, but they just like the Ravens.
But even so, Raj, with CeeDee Lamb not being there, this being, I think it's a lot of pressure being that you don't have Dak Prescott signed, no matter what he's saying about this new contract. I think for Dak Prescott, it's probably best that if he does play the season out and then enter free agency, so that way, either way, he'll have to get paid. And then Mike McCarthy on his last year, it's just a lot of pressure to deal with Dallas. Plus, you just being a Cowboys fan, just being the Cowboys. So I think it's just two teams still right there in the NFC as opposed to the AFC. I think the AFC is just a rougher conference right there, and that's why that was such a hot take for Nitro to say that the Chiefs would get bounced out early, because right now there's this contest about can they three-peat. Is Joe Burrow going to be the one to get them out? What about the Texans? So it's a lot of what ifs in the AFC as opposed to the NFC. You just really have two teams who, for the past few years, been representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, and then this year you just wonder which one of them is going to propel again to get back to the Super Bowl.
Well, let's talk about an NFC team. Go ahead. You got something, Cavante, Robert?
I was just going to say the Bears' saving grace is that only one team's coming out the South. So it's given, it's given, they look like, what I'm saying, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but so that's two teams that could come from each of the other divisions. So, that's given an opportunity, but I don't think the Bears are better than the Packers. I don't think the Bears are better than
they're not. No, what is that? Whoa, brother. We're not saying that. I didn't say that.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, they got to go through them in order to make the playoffs, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were that. I was like, no, brother. I didn't go that far.
Well, I always like to say, and I don't know what's going to happen because I don't. It's always 5 in and 5 out. So you always got at least 5 in.
Very true. Very true.
5 out, and there's always a worst to first. And the Bears did have the best defense in the league after getting Cavante's boy Montez Sweat. But Cavante, I'm glad you alluded to it, and I'll go to you first. Atlanta, I know we probably all are kind of leaning towards them in the NFC South, but they kind of solidified themselves getting Matt Judon for a 3rd-round pick, then signing Justin Simmons, Pro Bowl safety, led the league in interceptions, 1-year deal, $8 million. We're going to give our predictions for the South after this, but these two moves, Cravante, and we always talk about the Falcons going to Falcon. It's usually because the defense not being able to close out a game, and they got a pass rusher and a guy on the back end. You got some other guys on defense there. They play inside. They play in the NFC South. Falcons got to be the favorite, right?
Yeah, definitely. Those two moves are big time moves. You got somebody on the back end, like you said. You got somebody that could get you double-digit sacks. You know what I'm saying? So the Falcons are probably they're probably the slight favorites right now. Kirk Cousins is not doing it for me. That's the issue with the Falcons. Is Kirk Cousins coming off of Achilles, and they're probably not going to start unless there's an extreme setback. I don't think they're going to start Michael Penix. They're going to try to trot Kirk Cousins out there, and I think for the Falcons to really soar, Kirk Cousins can't do it. Then Kirk Cousins has to play terrible, and then Michael Penix has to get in there, and then they'll take off. Kirk Cousins not going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it for him.
Go ahead, Jared, real quick. Your thoughts on the signings before we get to the NFC South.
I think these are really good signings, and which is what's making me want to pick the Falcons to win the NFC South. But with Cravante, it's just a question at quarterback. Kirk Cousins is good enough to get you to the playoffs, but I think that's why they drafted Michael Penix, to get them. They'll have their rookie quarterback to get in there and kind of propel them to the next level. But I think this is just a learning year, and I think that in about a year, they might get off that Kirk Cousins deal within maybe a year. I know people are propelling about 2 years, but I'm really thinking that it may just be a year because Michael Penix, we saw what he did in college, and if he did what he did in college, and then you're going to Atlanta, you've seen Jordan Love after a year of learning, you've seen Patrick Mahomes, so is that process of still learning and developing. It can still work. And then also earlier I said about the 2-quarterback system, because Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles injury. He's older, and you have Michael Penix right there. It might be even a situation where similar to with Lamar and Joe Flacco, where he might get hurt. I'm not saying I don't wish him to get hurt, but I'm saying that the reality of it is when you're playing football, he might get hurt, and then it might be a way for Michael Penix to get in there, and then who knows what happens once he's in there, because the Falcons do have pieces. Yeah, we're talking about the defensive pieces, but they also have offensive pieces too.
Absolutely.
It's just that they've just been missing a quarterback and a really good, competent head coach for the longest time. They got both right now. We'll see what happens, because you saw that they made the choice not to go with Bill Belichick, and it's looking like it's panning out good in the right direction for them.
Raj, I know we wanted Judon back here in Baltimore for a 3rd-round pick. And Justin Simmons, too. I mean, the Ravens did sign Eddie Jackson, but 2 Pro Bowlers. I mean, let's not forget.
Yeah, man. I thought it was great. I ain't gonna lie to you. Getting Justin Simmons and getting Matt Judon was definitely what the Falcons needed to get over the hump, or at least to get or make it to the playoffs. Because I thought there were a few pieces away, but now it seems to be forming out in the correct, matter, because now they have the quarterback who has experience in the playoffs. Now they got Bijan Robinson, who's going to be a great player. Drake London is pretty good. And then you have Jesse Bates on the back end. You have Justin Simmons on the back end. You have for pass rush, you got Matt Judon. So it's like the Falcons, we made fun of them a couple years ago. We didn't know what they was doing when they decided to pass on Lamar Jackson, because they had I think it was they number 1 in the salary cap, I believe, back then.
Mm-hmm. They were, yeah.
So they're finally making use of it, and now they actually in a position where not only can they compete now, but if they don't get it done, they still have Michael Penix on the bench. He can learn from Kirk Cousins, get the full year or two, or however many years he might need to be the starter. And then they can go forward from there and still be very competitive. But they set themselves up, for a very long time. So shout out to the Atlanta Falcons. For once, I can say that they're not going to Falcon, So Hats off to him.